All right. No Bob today. It is just me. But we have all sorts of stuff to go over. I'm going to try and keep this quick. No, just kidding. We have Bob. Bob is here. Bob. Hey, Bob.
What's up, man?
How are you?
Doing well, man. If I get pinged for work, I might have to drop, but I think we
Yeah,
should be
no
good.
worries. I was planning to do this myself, so here we go. But yeah, I wanted to quick go over what the playoff picture looks like right now and what that's going to mean for us. So the easy stuff is all the first round buys are set. So Guardians, Yankees, Phillies, Dodgers. They've all got a first round bye, but they're all also still playing for the number one seed. I think both leagues are separated by like one game. So they're still going to be playing. So, the biggest concern for us is going to be rest this week and who's going to play, who's not, what that's going to look like and all of that. But for those teams, there's less concern, about resting a starting pitcher because they're not going to have to play for a week. So that's kind of how that's going to shake out. So I was thinking we probably just go through every matchup and just kind of talk about quickly, like what's going to be affected and what it looks like. How's that sound?
That works for me, man.
All right. Let's do that. Here we go. All right. So we've got the Diamondbacks who are they're in it for the wild card. They're one game up right now, right?
Yeah, it was a game or a half game. And I mean, they're playing San Diego. So, like, this is a pretty big matchup as far as seedings and standings. And obviously, things can flip if Arizona sweeps the series. I don't know where or how close they are in the standings, but there's a lot of things going on. Arizona needs to max out and put everybody out there and go full bore. So, if
Right.
you don't have guys with 5 games, your Corbin Carrolls, your Genos, your Christian Walkers, your Kettle Marts,
Kmart.
they're all gonna be big cards to play there this
Yeah.
week. I know that I'm
Um,
playing Marte and Walker in a couple big lineups that I have as well.
nice.
I think I have Marte and Champion or something like that.
Nice. And the way that they're lined up, at least, it's not going to be the same type of issue that we're going to see with like the Royals and the Tigers, which is, in this case, Zach Gallen, he's not, kind of lined up for Sunday. And if it matters, they're going to pitch him. And if it doesn't, they're not. But that's what we're going to see with Skubal and Reagans, where, they're the plan is for them to go Sunday, but if they don't need to pitch, and they probably won't have to, they're going to save them for the wild card series. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, so that's that. San Diego, I believe, is 3 games up on Arizona. I'm not sure how the tiebreaker works out, so they're likely set. So they may rest folks, or at least aren't going to be as going as hard. So I think there is a little bit of risk there with if you're looking at playing Tatis maybe or Machado, things like that. So there's still options, but especially as an NL team, I think the NL teams are going to be very, very heavily weighted towards the 5-game matchup that we've got.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, honestly, when it comes to the Padres, I think that they're going to put everybody out there. I mean, baseball is not like the NFL or something like that where you need a rest day where you're dinged up constantly. You kind of have to stay in the flow sort of thing. And so I even question the idea of guys on the Dodgers and the Phillies even sitting as well, Kev, because
yeah,
we've seen that when you have that first round bye, it's often detrimental for the teams that
yeah,
have it because they aren't playing ball for a week and it's just like starting over again fresh. So I'm curious to see how these things play out. I would expect San Diego to put their full team out there, and minimally, if they win the first game, a lot of things will be variable depending on what happens for the Mets, the Braves, the Diamond. Like all of those things are going to measure in there because once they lock up the 4 seed, it's going to be a little bit different, right?
yeah, yeah. And this, that sort of thing was a big topic of conversation last year too, where teams that had buys ended up losing their series, the Dodgers, and I think there was an AL team that it happened to as well. But
Yep.
Does the time off affect teams and all of that? So yeah, so I think we will see, and again, in part just because they're battling for the 1 seed and all of that. So I think they're going to be playing their folks, but I wouldn't be surprised if Phillies only, if Trey Turner only goes 2 games instead of 3, things like that. I think there's definitely some risk there, not as much as, for sure, like with Reagan's and Scooble, or with the teams that don't have that their positions pretty much set. The Brewers, I think, are pretty much kind of locked into where they're going to be. So,
Yeah, the
for the
Brewers
most
can't.
part,
The Brewers
yeah,
can't move. They have the lowest winning percentage of division winners, so they are locked into the 3 seed. That's not changing no matter what happens. So
yeah,
it's a matter of, do you want to play against the Brewers or do you want to play against somebody else? And then who you would actually have to play when it comes right down to it. In the next round. So
yeah,
I would expect San Diego to put their full team out there. I expect Arizona to put their full team out there. And I mean, I don't think and I think that, we know what the big ones are that we're gonna have to try to figure out, right? And I think you are right. I think the best thing that you called out was the fact that Detroit and Kansas City both have Scooble and Reagan's penned in right now for Sunday, but it makes no sense for them to pitch on Sunday, then have to turn around and pitch again on Tuesday. Right.
right,
If you want to advance, you need your best assets out there. And it's kind of like for all of you that play so rare soccer, you don't put your best penalty kicker at the end. Like, it's like, what's the point of doing that? Like, if you don't get to the end, they don't get to do it. Right. So set the tone, set it early, set it often, set it hard. So
yeah. Yep, and that's what we're going to see. And the way that playoffs are set up now, which is this initial 3-game wild card series, a best of 3. So, teams that are going right down to the wire, they're going to have to pitch their best pitchers to make sure that they make it in, and they're likely not going to be able to pitch in that first round series at all. So, the Twins are pretty much out of it, but if they were to, win out, and if the Tigers lose all 3 of their games, something like that. I think Pablo's going today. I think Ober's going on Sunday. So, Ober for sure wouldn't be able to pitch, in the wild card series at all. So that's what teams are looking at. But to go on to one of the big games and the big topic of discussion amongst so rare folks, the Braves and the Mets. And so to break this down, they're separated by 1 game. It's going to be close. I think, Kansas City's playing for their playoff lives right now, and they're a good chance of making it in, but still. So, it's going to be a series that the Braves are going to be playing for. The Mets, are playing to make it as well. And so right now that's set up for the doubleheader on Monday. If it's not going to matter at all, they're not going to play it, but it's likely going to matter. Even if it's just for playoff seeding, I think they're likely going to play as many games as they need to do that. But again, if one team sweeps and the other team gets swept, those could not happen. But right now it looks like it'll be 5 games for both the Braves and the Mets. I know the projections looked like Max Fried was going to pitch a couple times on Friday and on Monday, which isn't going to happen. So right now it's looking like Sale is scheduled to go Monday if they need him. And I would guess that they probably don't pitch him in game 1. I would guess that if it's something where game 1 can kind of decide what happens, they pitch Swellenbach and they save Sale for the wild card series. But that would be my guess. So I think there's a lot of risk if you're looking at pitching Chris Sale right now.
There's a couple things here. I think that I'm playing Max Fried as my starter because I actually disagree with you. I think that if we get to that Monday night game of game 2, and it's a loser goes home game, I think that they pitch Fried. I think that they say screw it, like minimum, give him 4 or 5 innings, get him in there and get a little extra. I think that they are willing to go the distance and get it done.
Yeah. You think they do that over Schwellenbach? I think he's been surprisingly good this year.
Yeah, honestly, I'd rather go with my studs. I want to go with my experienced guys. I want to go with the guys that I trust that got me as far as we are, even though the fact that we didn't have Albies all year. We don't have Riley. We don't have Acuna. Like, I need Max Fried and Chris Sale and Charlie Morton to get me over the line, right? And so I'm willing to gamble. I'm not willing to gamble that Sale is going to pitch because, like you said, in any other scenario, like if Arizona gets swept, it's kind of a moot point, right?
Right.
If Atlanta wins a few games, the Mets win a few games, like, it's just seeding at that point, right? So I'm not willing to bet that Sale is going to pitch. I'm not planning on him pitching unless it comes down to the end there. But if it does come down to the end, Sale goes game 1. I believe that Fried will at least be partly involved in game two, Kev. And like, it may be like what we saw in the, all-star game, believe it or not, where he can come in and get a hold, like
Yeah.
just an appearance, like something like that, that would happen, because I think that you have to put all of your eggs on the line. Like you have to do it to get in at this
Yeah.
point, you know?
Well, you heard it here first. Bob says Max Fried might pitch twice. I don't think that happens. I think
Mhm.
they go Schwellenbach game one and then Sale game two if they need it. I think there's just pitchers tend to do so poorly. It's rare that someone only pitches on short rest and does well. I think that blows up too much, and I was surprised to see. I mean, Schwellenbach's not someone that I've really followed closely this year, but I just started ranking starting pitchers to start looking at for next year, so that I can kind of tier them out and see which ones are cheaper, kind of based on the guys that I think are comparable. And I just want to note, we're super focused on the playoffs right now, but there are some insanely cheap starting pitching cards right now, like
Yep.
Castillo and Max Fried. Max Fried is like 250. It's insane.
And Kevin,
So
just keep in mind, like what I'm saying about Freed is I'm saying that they are already in the playoffs. And in the past, we see in a 5-game series, or a 7-game series, like
yeah,
they're willing to go short. And it's not even like that Freed will start that last game, it's that Freed will be available to pitch
yeah,
that game, because that puts a different calculation into what the Mets can and can't do. Because all of a
right,
sudden, if Schwellenbach gets in there and he gets a couple guys on base in the first or second inning, then all of a sudden you do have Reed to go a few innings to bridge the gap. And that's a big bump. I mean, honestly, any pitcher that you can get that goes twice, and that's a very low probability, you have a much higher chance to do well. I mean,
yeah,
honestly, that's actually what won me a competition back in the first year of the World Series, where I think it was like Wheeler or somebody like that, or Framber Valdez pitched twice in the World Series, or 3 times, and ended up getting a ton of points. So it's just something to think about.
yeah,
It's odds of it happening less than 5%, but
yeah.
it's not zero. You know what I mean?
Well, it's chaos time. Love it.
But
So
I want to talk more about the Braves though, too, if you don't mind. Like,
yeah, yeah.
with I know that I haven't been watching them a lot lately, and I'm just curious if anyone in chat has been paying attention to what Ozzy Albies has been doing, because he's coming back off of a long IL stint, and a guy like Albies, like, it looks great with Albies having 5 games, but I don't expect a guy like Albies to play all 5 games, right? I just, you know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
don't know what to do, where to look, because I think in some scenarios you might be choosing between Ozzy Albies or Azuna or Michael Harris as like your next guy, or even like a Lindor, or a Vientos. Like, I'm really curious, like which way you would kind of go, Kev. Like, if you have like that choice to make.
Well, I just muted myself because a garbage truck is going by. Sorry if that was incredibly loud for everyone. Hopefully, it wasn't too bad. But yeah, no. I mean, Albies has been hitting. He's got a home run and a double in the past 5 games. Hits in most of those games. So, I think sometimes when guys are coming back from injury, it's a little bit worrisome. But it seems like he's back and hitting well. I think I'd be comfortable playing him. I know, the question you'd pose, earlier this morning was, Azuna or Albies. And I mean, I think I definitely would go Azuna over Albies right now, just both performance and games. I think, it's more likely that Azuna plays all 5 than that
Yeah.
Albies maybe sits one.
Yep. And
But
if you're on our SOAR FPF, guys, you can see the projections. Ozuna is projected way higher than Albies.
yeah,
Albies is projected around like 28, 29 points, give or take, which is a pretty standard week sort of projection for a guy like Ozzy Albies. So even like the professional people that project these things out, the bad X guys and everything, recognize that there's a chance that he might sit, or that like he's coming off of injury. Like, anything can happen when it comes to a guy like Albies. So.
yeah,
And also, we know that Azuna could strike out 42 times and still hit 6 home runs. So,
yes.
and I wish I was being sarcastic.
No. Good times. Good
Yep.
times with baseball. All right. Anything else for the Braves?
I mean, I'm excited. I'm really torn on how much I like this going in there, because I had a big week last week in the chase,
Yeah.
and this is the type of opportunity that will absolutely 100% make me lose money in the chase. So I know I'm being selfish, but
I
I mean
love it.
that's reality of the scenario situation, right? Like
Yeah,
you go from 3 game schedule where you don't know who's going to play, and so you have to be kind of careful with your lineups, meaning
yeah,
that your top end scores aren't going to be maxed out. So the odds of one of your first 3 scores getting bumped are considerably lower if you only have 3 games. But now when you have 5 with guys that can smash, your low score is more often than not going to get knocked out, which screws me. And honestly, it screws anybody that doesn't have it or didn't do well in that first week is what it really comes down to, because it's all about that first week. If you were over 400 points, et cetera, et cetera.
where are you at right now? Are you top 10?
Yeah.
Seventh. Yeah, after
Yeah.
telling
Yeah.
me that you were out of it, there was no chance
I'm out of it.
whatsoever.
Kev, I'm
Yeah.
out of it. I can't win. You know me,
Yeah,
man. I play to
maybe
win games.
maybe you can't win, but you're 40 points off of the podium.
Yes.
That's not bad.
So
And like
in
much like good luck to Cribs and Link and everyone else, all the So Rare FP folks and everyone else that we know.
Yep.
Um, you know,
DJ local right there. Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
and keep in mind, like the reason I'm there, Kev, is because last week I came in first in the chase and second in champ. So like things just worked out last week for me. And so I'm still waiting for that money to show up so I can go waste it
yeah.
before
But yeah, and,
August.
well, and Corn Cob was for first and second with Cribs for most of the time, and he's 100 points back now. So it's stuff can
Yep.
change.
But like
I do
he's
I
the
do want
exact
to
guy
say
that games.
go. What was that?
So he's the exact guy that with a 5 game build up can knock out his terrible score that he just had last week and then beat
Right.
Cribs. That's what I'm talking about, which mixes in here. Whereas Corn Cob would be really struggling to catch Cribs if it's a regular 3 game and there's not the extra 5 games added in. So that's
Yeah,
it is what it is.
for sure.
Who knows? Maybe Arizona will lose all 3 games and they'll both
Yeah.
win, just like playing for seeds, and like no one's gonna
Did you
actually care.
did you have a take on whether or not they should include the doubleheader or not?
I don't think they should.
Really?
I really don't. And the reason is, I mean, obviously it's selfish on my part, but I think it comes down to stuff like this.
Yeah.
I think that you set up the boundaries and the framework for the competition, and understanding that it's the last series and you want to use your cards, you want to do all of these things, but it fundamentally changes the game itself because you went from 3 games where you're not sure who's going to play to 5 games where you know that there are studs that are having to play in the games. So
Yeah.
now the 2 middle weeks could potentially just be completely wiped out. And so like it's really kind of I don't like the decision. I mean, I understand it because it doesn't affect a lot, but like when you have a prolonged competition like this, like the chase, I think it matters. I think if there's no chase, it doesn't matter. You just toss it in and you just go, guys, have fun. But
Yeah.
if Cribs gets caught because somebody put, all 5 of the Braves or Mets to go absolutely bananas this week, and they have a massive score, it does change the game. And I think that's really unfortunate. I don't think there was enough. I mean, I don't agree with the decision. I know that there's some thought put into it, but hey, it is what it is. We live and we adjust. And I changed all my lineups this morning, Kev,
Yeah.
once I found out. Like I had to switch things up
Yeah.
because I couldn't assume that I can be comfortable where I am.
Yeah. Well, that's baseball season.
Yep. You got it, man.
But as usual, and while I love and respect Bob very much, I disagree entirely. No, I mean, I think like for the game, like I think it's just more fun to be doing it this way. I think it would be a shame if we're going to have a doubleheader on Monday that determines the playoffs, and we're excited about that, but like the chase is already done. Again, it's baseball, Susan. Like it's you don't
This
get to
is
control the weather and what happens. And I mean, this crazy stuff like this happens where you need to reschedule a doubleheader for what should have been the day before the wild card series. And
or
so I mean, here we are. So it's the same. In terms of fairness, I don't think anything is fair exactly. I mean, it's not fair to me that I didn't get Matt Olson to go 2 more games,
well,
this past game week. And
yep. But I mean, I personally, I think if you want to make money, if you want to be a smart business, you say, well, the chase ends on the day that we set the chase to end. We have 1 extra day. Let's do a special event and put it together for the 2 games of the Braves and the Mets. And oh my gosh, all of our Braves and Mets cards just sold off the auction, and now we have like a special All-Star event, which we had a one-game thing, and you can do that kind of stuff, and that
Yeah.
actually adds to our utility without screwing up
Yeah.
a
I
potential win
always
for the
say,
pitcher. So,
to my son, you can wish in one hand, but you're going to need to wash your hands afterwards. And they're not prepared to do that. Like they can
oh,
barely.
I know, I, and it's, but I mean, like
Um,
it's a simple solution to these kind of things.
yeah,
But
I mean,
I also understand. I
I think they
understand.
made the right choice. I think they. I don't think there was. I think they were going to upset some people no matter what they did.
Mhm.
I mean, I obviously I agree with the choice that they made. So I think,
Yeah.
I'm obviously going to be happier with it than those that aren't. And I totally understand. Cribs and anyone that's fighting for the very top of the chase leaderboards. It's
I
got a
mean,
huge effect, but yeah,
end of the day, it is what it is. Like all we can do is change and go with it. And what are you going to do? You make the adjustments, and luckily for me, I have the kind of gallery that can do that, right?
yeah,
But not everybody will have that kind of gallery that can do something like that. So at the end of the day, like you want to be able to play the game with all of your cards. You want to have all the stuff there. You want to go. Like so, I understand what the decision was. I just think that the introduction of the chase changes the math on if you should or could do this. That's it.
all right. Yeah, so I mean, they could have gone anyway. I don't think getting crazier and crazier was the right answer,
Why
but
not?
yeah,
Make it more fun, man. Make it more fun. Do an
I
all
mean,
do an
more fun
all
is great.
singles, do a reverse power special weekly for 2 games with the Braves and the Mets, and have people going nuts buying, Brett Beatty or whoever is like the crappy singles hit, Jeff McNeil, like make him a superstar if he's still playing. I don't even know.
Nice.
So
And I think he's out. Beatty's
yeah,
out. Vientos. I don't think I've ended up putting Vientos in. I think I put Alvarez in a couple lineups.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, all right. So for Kika's question, Hunter Green, Garrett Cole, Reagans, Gilbert. Um, for those, I would skip Reagans. I think Gilbert is probably like a guy I would play. Hunter Green, he missed some time this year, right? I think for guys that haven't pitched all season long, that aren't at 160, 180 plus innings pitched, I think they're going to try and pitch them as much as possible. It was the same thing with Scuba last year, where he came back from injury, and it was like, well, the Tigers weren't playing for anything, but like you need to get those innings up to kind of feel more comfortable next year, adding on more innings to it. So I think Green probably pitches. I honestly don't know what happens with Garrett Cole and the Yankees, but I guess we'll touch on that as we look. Should we keep going through
Yeah,
the
might as
matchups?
well. I mean, real quick here though, like I am avoiding anybody that has locked up a postseason spot as far as pitching goes, meaning Garrett Cole, Reagan's. Like I don't think the risk. I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze on this one. I think that Garrett Cole missed a large chunk of the season at the start of the season. He just went 9 a couple days ago against Oakland. Like I don't think it's
Yeah,
worth to have him do it. Like he might throw a simulated game just to keep his arm loose, but
yeah,
I don't. It's they have nothing to play for right now. Is really
yeah.
what it comes down to, and I don't think that they care enough about home field against the Guardians and stuff like that. Like it's a game as a game.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and unfortunately, we don't know. We're guessing. I mean, it's important to note. Like, part of it comes down to player. Like, some players are going to be like, "Well, I just want to pitch." Like, some players hate being off of their normal schedule more than anything else. So it's like, no, I'd rather pitch on Sunday or whatever, and then whatever. So, yeah, I mean, but in terms of kind of playing, it's risky, and so there's that. But yeah, so for the Orioles, I don't think we're I don't think any of these guys, as far as starting pitchers go, are kind of playable. In terms of the Twins bats, I guess, against them. Buxton's been hitting really well. Wallner's out. Trevor Larnach maybe is gonna be able to hit the righties, but yeah, let's not talk about the Twins. All right, moving
Yeah,
on.
but so just kind of on that, 'cause we have to talk about Buxton because we always talk about Buxton. If Detroit wins tonight and it's over, do the Twins play those guys? Like Buxton is constantly hurt all the time. Like, is it worth it? Like, what is the purpose?
I
of-
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, the decisions don't like at times defy logic there. So,
Yes, and any
and
fantasy
again, and again, I mean, and I think Buxton is someone who wants to play. Like, I mean, he's someone who didn't want to do the DH only thing last year, and the rest. Like, he preferred to play. So, I mean, that's also part of it. Is that he may just want to play. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. But I mean, I've got Buxton in some lineups, just like certainly not priority ones, but it's when I'm kind of getting down to an AL only team or something, and not really sure who to go with because there is just so many questions. Yeah, that's what we're looking at. But
When is Hunter Green scheduled to pitch, by the way? Because I heard that there's some pretty bad weather in Chicago. Hunter Green's scheduled to pitch on the last day too. So I'm a
yeah,
little bit leery there. I'm actually, if I'm in, what about Seattle? Because Seattle has a dome. So like, I'm looking for games that aren't going to get canceled.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's a good point. Yeah. So
I mean, if it's raining at all in Chicago, there's absolutely no point for the Cubs and the Reds to play. They have
right.
nothing to play.
So I might pitch Nick Martinez just because he's first, but other than that, I don't think I would go with Hunter Green.
Yeah. Right. Same thing goes with Imanaga, all those guys that you like to use. So
Right. Yep. For Tampa Bay and Boston, I mean, Boston's out of it. Tampa Bay, I mean, they're just playing young guys. So, I mean, who's the young Jonathan Aranda, lefty, at Fenway, like that might be a nice sneaky play this week. But that's about that. For anything else for Red Sox?
no, I mean, most of their guys have either fallen into massive slumps like Jaron Duran or not playing like Devers. And so like those are the guys that I'm looking for. I'm usually not looking for an arm
Right.
from
Yeah.
the Red Sox.
I mean, Tyler O'Neill, I don't think he's going to play 3 games, even if he
Yeah.
plays. So there's
Yep,
that.
exactly.
Yeah. Yoshida, I mean, is an option.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, for a series like that, yeah, I wouldn't expect anyone's playing, more than 2 games, which makes it tough. Cubs, again, we're looking at possible rain out, and that one's that they probably don't make up. So,
Yep.
Let's see what else we got. White Sox, I might pitch Crochet, like I might put him in as a reliever or something like that, especially AL only. I mean, with the NL, it's hard not to go with Iglesias or Diaz if you can, just because there's a good chance they pitch at least 2 games, maybe 3. And they're rested too. I mean, like the Twins bullpen right now, like they're screwed. Like Jackson, Duran have pitched at least 2 days in a row already. Duran pitched like 2 innings, like 31 pitches. All right, we're gonna stop talking about the Twins. So Detroit, there is a chance of rain there too, right?
There is, but
yeah. So that one's tough, and I mean, they are still playing. I mean, they likely play their bats. Who was I thinking about? The lefties on their team, Parker Meadows. There's some. Oh, Riley Green. Riley Green's been hitting pretty well. I mean, he's someone that I've got for sure in an AL only lineup.
Yeah.
But again, yeah, I mean, there's a chance of rain, but I mean, that's one that they likely make up, right? So, I mean, to the extent it might matter, I mean, seeding and
only if it matters, right? So
Yeah.
this is the type of scenario where if a game like this for Detroit gets rained out on Saturday, if they haven't already clinched, and it could come down to they need to play the last game on Monday to actually clinch, like that is a different scenario. So like that's where it would, if otherwise it's just not going to be made up. And I don't know how close like 5th and 6th are as far as records go and stuff like that. So you'd have to look at that.
They're right there. I think the Royals and the Tigers are even, and the Twins are 3 games back on them.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, so I'm
just to bring it back to the Twins again.
Yep.
The Twins who were like 90% play, chance of making the postseason like 3 weeks ago. And I don't know if it was on here, but I remember talking to someone where I was like, it says 90%, but it feels like 50. Like it didn't feel good then. And of course the worst possible things happen.
Yep.
All right. Reds are at Chicago, where I wouldn't feel comfortable with much there. Maybe with some Reds bats. But I know someone was talking, I think in the Discord about, Ellie might be going for 70 steals or something like that. So he might have a big series, but
Yeah.
the Cubs are kind of banged up, guys like Seiya Suzuki, he's probably not going to play 3 games, if even at all, if these are meaningless. I think he maybe like had a sore ankle or something, but yeah, moving on to the Guardians. I'm honestly not sure what their they're off. So they're not gonna. I was gonna say I don't know where Gavin Williams would be in their playoff rotation. I like him. He's had some bad um, but yeah. So like we talked about before, if you're just coming on, all of the first round buys are set. So the Guardians, the Phillies, the Yankees, and Dodgers all aren't going to be playing, so like there's less concerns about pitching and all of that. So all the stuff we're worried about isn't necessarily going to apply there. But Cleveland may rest their bats. I
think that if you're going to play a Guardian, I think the only Guardian you should play is Jose Ramirez. And I think that because he can, and he's on the verge of getting 40-40, which would be like very quietly doing this. So if I have to choose a 3-game player this week, Jose Ramirez is the very top of my list for a guy I want to use. Because Houston's already clinched the playoffs as well. They've clinched their seed as the 3rd seed in the American League. So like that's not changing, right? So there's nothing to play for in that series. I expect guys like Tucker and Alvarez is clearly not going to play, but I think Jose Ramirez can go in there and try to make history for himself and his incentives.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree. Rockies Dodgers, at Coors Field. If you're playing a Rockies pitcher, I'm not sure what you're doing watching this, but for the Dodgers, for our projections, even with 3 games for the Dodgers versus 5 for the Braves and Mets, Ohtani, Betts are still projecting well. Freeman got hurt yesterday, so he's likely not playing at all. I can't imagine they play him using a walking boot, and to some degree that's just precautionary. They want to keep it stable, and they did imaging, and it's nothing serious, but he's not. I can't imagine he plays this weekend. But Betts, Ohtani. I know there was questions about Muncy playing or not. Last I saw, I thought he was playing, and it's all righties, so that's not bad. But also, I don't know how much they're going to push. I would expect Muncy to play 2 rather than 3 games, just because of his injury history and all of that. I don't think they push that hard to try and win out or anything like that. What do you think?
No, I agree. I mean, I think that in Coors, I think that they're going to play their guys. Honestly, it goes back to what I was just talking about with the Dodgers having the first round bye last year and then getting beat right away and coming off cold. So I think that you play your guys. Like there's absolutely no reason to give them a couple extra days when they're already going to have 5 days off anyway. So
Yeah.
I think that Dodgers just play. I think that Ohtani continues to smash, and I mean they're in Coors. Who knows? Ohtani may end up with 65 home runs at the end of the year if he plays the entire time. So I think that he's a good play that goes along in there. I love bats. I mean, you want as many at bats as possible. Guys like Teoscar Hernandez. I don't think they're going to sit.
Oh, that's the other one I was thinking of. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, Teoscar. I'm playing in a ton of lineups. I really like him this weekend. For Houston, I know we touched on them talking about Cleveland, but for their pitchers, 2 things. One, the Spaghetti Pirate, Arrighetti, I'm not sure he actually pitches Sunday. So if that's someone you were looking at, I would guess they save him, unless it's necessary. But he probably, I think last stream or maybe a week ago, I think we talked about their rotation, and I had forgot about Kikuchi. So, it's Fromber, it's Kikuchi, and then Hunter Brown and Arrighetti and Ronel Blanco. And so I think Kikuchi and Fromber are probably the 1 and 2 that are going to pitch for sure. And then of those other 3, I'm not sure who they would pitch, but I think they likely would probably want to keep all of them kind of available so that they can, if whoever starts the game gets blown up in the first inning, they've got someone else that they trusted to bring in. And then sadly, Justin Verlander's not really a consideration in my mind at all right now.
Yep,
but
totally
he's like 75 years old, so it is what it is. Again, Royals, we talked about this, but I wouldn't play Reagans at all. I don't think there's any chance he pitches unless it's a necessity to get them into the playoffs. Seth Lugo's one that, could go either way. But again, the Twins are so bad. They likely lose. I think if the Twins lose tonight, I think the magic number is 1, right? So I think if the Twins lose tonight, nothing matters. And I think they save Lugo and Reagans both for the wild card series.
Right. I totally agree with that. There's too many things that could happen that would cause them not to play.
Yeah.
I don't think it's worth it.
In terms of bats, though, I'd be comfortable playing Bobby Witt even 2 games. I think Bobby Witt plays 2 games, and I think I'd be comfortable with that. Bobby Witt 2 games is better than, most players for 3.
What is their manager opinion on these kind of things? Like what is their play style? Because again, baseball is a game of once you're in a flow, and I've always struggled with this, and then we keep talking about it on this podcast. Guys that rest, they lose what they're doing, and when they take normal breaks, right? It's very natural for the body. So at the end of the day, I think that they keep Bobby Witt should play. There's absolutely no reason that Bobby Witt should not play. That Salvi Perez should not play. No,
Salvi Perez is also 70 years old, though. I would for sure rest him for a day.
You can sit Salvi. DH him. You can do whatever you want, right? But I think that's, I don't know. I like to have a team be on fire when they're coming out. I want them clicking. I don't want them falling to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, and something useful that I look at, and it's something that came from someone that does NFBC content, Rob DiPietro, who's Deadpool hitter on Twitter. He had pulled up lineup stuff from the end of last season to see which managers, which teams were sitting people, which ones were playing people, and that's not going to answer all of your questions, but it's a really good starting point for, what decisions did they make last year? Are they maybe going to do something different? If the Dodgers sat their guys and it didn't turn out well, are they gonna do something different? So yeah, that's a really cool thing to look at for next year. So Angels in Texas. Yeah, we're getting people's heads about Fried. The only way that I would take this into account is if it's a coin flip for you between Fried and someone else, for instance, Jacob DeGrom. I love DeGrom more than anything. DeGrom obviously has a huge injury history, but when he's pitching, he's better than Spencer Strider, or at the very least is Spencer Strider. And so, like I said, I was starting to put together tiers for next year, and DeGrom is always going to be in the top tier. It's a question of price with him. Are you willing to pay however much you need to pay for him? Because you're only probably going to get 10 good starts out of him, or at least that's all you can at best count on. But he's going to be likely the best pitcher in the league for those 10 starts. And so for so rare, I think that's more than worth it. But so, he's coming back. So I would like to say they're not going to throw him 100 pitches, but he got injured last year because they were yeah, let's let him throw 110 pitches. And then shockingly, he was injured now for the rest of the season. So I don't understand how you invest however hundreds of millions of dollars in a starting pitcher, and then in a game in April are yeah, why don't you go 8 innings? All right. Anyway, DeGrom is someone that the moral of the story is I'm starting DeGrom in priority lineups this weekend. I like him. I think he's going to go. I think even if he goes only 5 innings, if they only go 80 pitches, kind of like Crochet, that's better than most pitchers, I feel. And again, with a guy who's coming back from injury, they're going to want him to get as many games in, as many innings in as possible. So I feel a little bit more comfortable with that. In terms of the Angels pitchers, I'm not putting any of them out there.
So they want to get DeGrom, so they're not going to the playoffs, right? I'm surprised I would rather them shut him down. Like, what is the point? Like, to your
You
point,
got to get those innings in.
yeah, but you do that in spring training next year. Is kind of what I'm getting at. Like
Yeah.
it's at
I
this point.
think the conventional wisdom is you don't want to increase innings pitch more than you don't want it to be like above. I mean, ideally, I think it's like 120% year to year, and so
I
you
mean,
want him to get that bulk in this year so that you're working towards it next year.
I mean,
So that it's a
does he have
better
any
base.
innings pitched? Like, does he have any innings pitched incentives in his contract too? Because those things do come into play. I mean, we just
Yeah,
saw the
I doubt it.
Cardinals
I
cut
mean,
Rowdy
mostly for the
Tellez because he
Pirates.
had 4 more plate appearances. So
Just the Pirates cutting your boy Rowdy. Oh
Rowdy
man,
Tellez is inevitable.
yeah, I don't think I ended up sending it. I started putting together a rundown for you, which was like why the Twins are the worst organization on earth, why the Brewers are the best organization on earth. They lost Council, they lost their GM, and they came back and they lost their two best starting pitchers, and they came back and won the division. And then why the Pirates are, as usual, the worst organization in baseball.
And don't forget, man, that Yelich has been out for most of the season too.
Yeah, they lost their best hitter, their two best pitchers. That's crazy.
Yep.
It's team of destiny. I'm hoping.
Hey, they got to get through the play and they got to make a run in the playoffs. Like that's what it really comes down to.
That's right.
The regular season is fun, but it's all about lifting that trophy at the end of the day.
And hopefully they don't lose to the Diamondbacks again.
Yeah.
All right. So the Dodgers. I probably wouldn't play Gonsolin. Yamamoto, I could go either way. I think if you don't have better options, I think he's playable.
I mean, do you? So in general, and this is more of a overarching question. Are you comfortable playing pitchers in Coors Field?
Depends on the pitcher, but yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd prefer not to. Again, if it's if it's a coin flip, I'm picking the guy that's not pitching in Coors, but a good pitcher, I think it's fine. The one part of Coors is the ball flies more, but the other part is the air's thinner, and so it's harder for breaking balls for the spin to there's less air to kind of act on the ball, and so breaking balls don't break as much, things like that. I would trust an ace type pitcher though, to be fine. Again, I mean, it's kind of a risk reward thing. There's a chance they get blown up just like anyone there, but for the most part, I think they're fine. The one last thing is Colorado bats, and this is something for the offseason we'll be talking about too, but like Colorado, for a while, you couldn't play anyone from Colorado until then. Brenton Doyle kind of came around. But now, I mean, there's guys like Michael Toglia, who even on the road has hit well. Hunter Goodman, who is kind of like the Rowdy Tellez of Colorado. Where did Tellez start off as a catcher too?
I don't even know.
I feel like he might have like early in his career, like college or like minors or something. But Goodman's one who's like he's going to hit like 190, but might hit 35 home runs. So I do have Doyle, I do have Toglia in some lineups. Again, just when I ran out of Braves or Mets or whatever to put in there, those are the guys I started looking at. And it is difficult looking at your guys, like who's going to play, who's not. Like, I mean, my easy plug and play guy for the past month or so has been Chiriot, where it's like, if I don't know who to play, like I'm putting him in. Like he's, he was stealing bases and he's hitting like insanely well. But now, like, he sat the last game. He's probably going to sit one this weekend. So it's a lot harder to find those guys.
Yep. And
the teams that are garbage are going to play their guys. Speaking of the Marlins. And so Toronto, I think Toronto, do we think, real quick, Tyler asked, do we think Ohtani plays at Coors? Absolutely. I think he's going for a 55, or, I mean, he's playing. And, we touched on this before, but, part of these decisions are, like managers or the front office want their guys to rest or not, however they want to play that. But there's also the players want to do stuff. And we've talked about this before. Ohtani's a baseball dork. Like he wants to play every game. He's he's gonna play. Like unless they force him not to, he's gonna play. And so yeah, I mean, I'm totally comfortable playing Ohtani. He's for sure our like projection wise, personally, he's the number one play, I think, for bats this week. Coors Field, Ohtani, yeah. But yeah, Marlins, garbage team. I think they're going to be facing all righties, and they have a bunch of lefties that can. Yeah, so Barrios, Rodriguez, and Bassett. And Bassett might not even pitch because it's going to be meaningless. So,
Yep.
so yeah, so I mean, a guy like Jesus Sanchez is playable. Jake Berger has picked it back up again. He kind of comes and goes. Not a lefty, but like I'm comfortable playing him. Used to be Jazz. Who are their other lefties there? I don't know. Anyway, there's Xavier Edwards. I feel like there's one other guy I'm missing, but yeah, I mean, they're playable for sure this week. In terms of the Jays against these guys, Vlad, I think Vlad plays. I think he plays at least two. I think Vlad's another guy who probably wants to play. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I have Vlad in lineups. I am confident that Vlad will play. I mean, and if he doesn't, the thing with these guys that we're talking about, like maybe missing a game or something like that, guys like Vlad can score 35 points in one given game. So, we just kind of look back to what happened last week with Jose Ramirez. He had 2 games. He scored 55 points or something like that. Like these guys have that capability of doing that. So, if you have a guy like Vlad, I'm still confident putting him in the lineup. And the same thing goes with Ohtani. Like even if he only plays 2 games in Coors, he has the ability. I mean, in one game, he scored 94 points. So it's like these things are doable. So.
All right, so the Brewers are the first 3 games for the Mets. Like we talked about, I probably wouldn't play Brewers bats unless you have to, just because they're likely to rest. But we are playing Mets bats. I think a big question I had when I was putting lineups together was Matt Olson or Pete Alonso. Which one would you go with?
I went with both in my chase team.
But honestly, if you had to choose, all right. So if I have priority wise, I mean, there's that one.
I'm going with Olson.
Olson, Alonso, and also Ozuna. If that's an option.
I'm going Olson, Alonso. I'm going Olson, Ozuna, and Alonso. So Big Pete is one of those guys that he's going to score 5 points on the week, or he's going to score 40. He's going to hit he needs to hit a home runs. Ozuna is a very similar type player, but Olson has been swinging the bat really well lately, like really, really well. And so I actually put my captain on him as well. So I'm very confident in Olson, which and they're all strikeout merchants, which I complain about all the time. But
yeah, no, I mean this has been the most fun for me was looking at these because one DJ Local is like anyone doing double RP, and that's like I said, Diaz and Iglesias is that's not a bad play. Like if you think they're going to get 2 and they're probably, if not save situations, hold situations, like that's 40 points, right? And I mean, I've always been one that if I feel like I might get 35 or 40 from a starting pitcher, I'll put them in that flex spot. And so, I mean, they might get three games, right? They could easily go Friday, Sunday, and one of the games Monday. So that's an interesting one. So yeah, I think Diaz and Iglesias, even the setup guys, although it's a little more difficult this year.
Yeah,
DJ Local. To be clear, I am doing it. Yeah, like I said, I think that's a great play. And then the other one was Michael Harris. Michael Harris has been on a heater, and that's a tough one. Like I was starting to say before, like Ozuna usually if I'm like loading up on Braves, I put Olson at corner and I put Ozuna in at outfield. But Harris and Ozuna is an interesting question as well. So yeah, it's going to be fun to see who plays. And then the other part of that is Lindor. Like Lindor, so Lindor was ready to pinch hit, I think, Wednesday night or Tuesday night, well, the last game that they played, and then he was in the lineup for the game that got canceled. And so he's playing, but I mean he's missed however many games. He's had lower back issues, which it turns out that can be difficult to play sports professionally if your back hurts. I can barely get through the day sometimes when my back hurts. So so it's Lindor is a tough one. Like I said before, Francisco Alvarez has been doing all right. He's kind of heating up again. Vientos, I don't think he's like as ungodly hot as he was for a while, but like he's a decent play. And then like you were talking about, Ozzy Albies is one as well. So yeah, I have more Lindors than anyone, so I think I did put Lindor in a lot.
I am going with Lindor in a couple. I even think I would like Chase and Champion. It's just the upside potential of him being there is just a little bit too much. And because he was ready to pinch hit the other day and he was penciled in for the starting lineup, and it's another day of rest, Kev. Actually 2 more days of rest of no work whatsoever, and like it's healing. So like I consider him.
Yeah, to be clear though, I mean, like I think and it sounds like he's for sure playing today. Although I mean, he could be scratched at any time. You know, I mean, you warm up and pull something in your back, but I think it's more a question of even if he plays 5 games, and I mean, again, Lindor's a gamer. I think if he can, he would go 5 games, but it's hard to believe coming off of not being able to play with a back injury that he can do 5 games in 4 days. So I think he probably at best gets 4, but I think the question is more is what his production is like, is if he's going to be so limited that, he can't hit for power or, if he's batting from one side of the plate versus the other, is he not maybe going to be able to, pull the ball or whatever. So, I mean, I think that's the scary part, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I think this is what's really cool. The 2 middle infielders that you would want to use on the Braves and the Mets both have injury concerns. They're coming back off of injury. And I think that when we look at what the starting lineup for the Mets is today, Kev, if Lindor is starting in the field, I'm a lot more confident with his back being fine. If he's starting at DH, I'm a little bit more.
Yeah, that's true.
So, Big Pete.
Lineups aren't out, are they?
I haven't seen anything. So yeah, I mean, I'm running with it. It's sometimes you just gotta make a call and you just gotta go with it, right? And like hope with one hand and figure it out with the like you said. But I mean, and the same thing goes like, and what's nice about this is like imagine that the Mets get swept and the Braves win all their games and Arizona wins all their games. Like there's no point in playing those 2 extra games, right? So all of a sudden it's just a regular 3-game lineup, a 3-game slate. And then, Betts is still the best middle infielder to use this week. So like, and that's where I've been trying to figure out, like, which way am I going? Like I have Lindor ranked ahead of Albies in my eyes right now. The question is, do I hope for 5 games from Lindor and use him, or do I just think it's not going to happen? I go with Betts and Coors and hope that he plays all 3. And honestly, like with the fact that like all professional sports are scripted, I'm pretty sure it's going to go all 5 games and they're going to need to play all of them on Monday. So,
yep. So, just looking at kind of split stats for Olson and Alonso. So for Alonso, about an 800 OPS, like a 130 OPS plus for September. Not huge games in the last 5. Olson, on the other hand, 1 for 3, 2 for 3, 2 for 4, 2 for 4, a couple home runs in one game, another in a third in another game. So yeah, Olson looks like, at least right now, he's the hotter guy. And yeah, and like we said before, the Royals' best pitchers probably aren't going to be pitching. So, it's probably not going to be Reagan's, and it's probably not going to be Lugo even. So, yeah, that's it's a pretty tasty matchup there. And then, yeah, man, Olson 200 OPS plus for September, just over 1,000 OPS. That's not bad. I've said this forever, like, and that's another one where, if you're looking at building for next year, I think Matt Olson limiteds are like $20 right now. If you're looking for a card for the playoff, like even if you're not sure, like buying Matt Olson for $20 or $25 right now is not a terrible idea. And, he might slump like he did for, large parts of this season. But, he's someone that he's he's always going to be a top 10 play when he's hot. Like it's, you know, 1,000 OPS is insane.
So one of the things that I've learned more as I've watched more Braves games, because I have Brave stacks and I've had them for the last couple of years, just the weather in Atlanta is
Yeah.
the worst weather in the country, and they almost never play full slates of games.
Yeah.
And I really struggle, and I like this entire season I've struggled putting Olsen in lineups that matter because of the weather factor. And so it's just something to think about as you go through.
Yeah.
Like
What?
he can be great, but like don't spend a ton of money on Olsen next year, kind of thing. Like get him now,
Yeah.
get him for classic, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. For the longest time, their new stadium, I thought it was a dome because it was just like, why wouldn't they have done at least a retractable roof there?
I mean,
yeah.
Why wouldn't the A's just build a stadium for the A's? You know, but you know, why do anything that makes sense for?
So. All right. So Bryce Miller. So is Bryce Miller? What's if you guys want to let me know in the chat, like, are they just talking about that he might not go? Because I mean, the Mariners are out of it. Skipping ahead, I guess. Woo, Miller, Gilbert. Yeah, so I mean, if there's rumblings that they might not go, so Seattle has a name starter, so they're not official yet. All right. Yeah. So that's a tough one. But I mean, it's a nice matchup. They're at home, which is great. But yeah, I mean so I mean, like Bryce Miller, I'm starting in a super early lineup, but that's just because I don't have that many pitchers. It's like Pablo Lopez or Tyone, or I don't even think I have that many other options right now. So
I didn't even realize that Tyone was still pitching. Oh, good grief! Like
I mean, he's put together a decent year. I mean, you know, he's not blowing anyone's socks off or anything like that. Yes, really Pablo is pitching today, but like I wouldn't start him. Just
I really like that Taj Bradley matchup, honestly.
Yeah.
First game in Boston. It means it's the guaranteed he's gonna pitch no matter what, right?
Yeah.
So Red Sox, half of their team is not playing. You know, it's just man, it's a spicy little.
Quickly run through. Yeah, Pablo is pitching today. You might get a good start out of him. So I mean, if you're looking at Pablo versus, you know, I mean, he's definitely going to pitch. So like if it's between him and Bryce Miller, Logan Gilbert, I might go with Pablo because it's not a zero at least that you're risking. But man, Taj fell off a cliff. Tyan's a solid 4 or 5. Yeah, I mean Taj. So I mean Taj sometimes has command issues. Sometimes, you know, if his fastball's not working, then he doesn't have a lot else. O's have been slumping. Yes, I mean all the teams I like have been slumping. Even the
Diamondbacks. You guys can start all of your Mariners starters that you want. They're going to get absolutely smoke showed by the A's. So.
Nice. As far as
Brent Rooker's going to be a good play this week. Like I know that I talk all the crap about the A's and everything, but Brent Rooker's chasing the 300 season. He's chasing 40 home runs. He's a sneaky, quiet play that I'm really excited to use the last time of the season.
Yeah, I mean Rooker's not even sneaky anymore. I don't think.
No, I mean he's hitting like 300. Like he's got like 38, 39 home runs. So yeah, 110 RBI. So like excellent baseball player.
Yeah, those are pretty impressive numbers.
So
1,200 OPS in July, 900 in August and September.
Yeah.
Tyler B is trying to decide between Ohtani, Olsen, Michael Harris, and Ozuna. Yeah, and that's a good question. I don't know that there's a right answer with those. I mean, one will shake out, but I think, you know, I mean, I think in part it's, you know, are you looking at ceiling versus kind of whatever, risk versus not? I think if I was, you know, looking at a chase lineup and I could only, you know, pick one or two of them, I mean, I think I would put Olsen above Ohtani if I had to pick one, and I'm more worried about not getting a zero because there is a chance Ohtani only plays 2 games. And maybe he just doesn't hit well. I mean, it's Ohtani, so he's probably going to get at least a couple hits, but like maybe they're doubles and not home runs. You know, maybe no one's on. I mean, Freddie Freeman's not playing. Maybe Mookie sits a game or two. So like, you know, it's just a lot more uncertainty. I think Ohtani could easily put up 80 or 100 points, 3 games at Coors. So there's that. But Olson, with 5 games, Michael Harris, who's been hot, I think I would trust Harris less, right now than Olson. But yeah, I mean, it's a tough one. And part of it is also going to be like, who do you think everyone else is playing? Is there, it's kind of the game theory aspects of it of, do you need to have, something to kind of differentiate a lineup from everyone else. So,
Yep.
yeah, it's fun times.
Yeah. And I see that Jump Shoot did ask just right underneath that question, just about Max Fried and 2 starts this game week. So Jump Shoot, we did talk about that a little earlier. And basically, Kevin doesn't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think that he could be used if they need to go to that last game on Monday, using a middle kind of role, or even like get a few innings to start. I think that he could pitch an extra day because I think they're going to treat it like the playoffs. So just answer that again.
Yeah, that is right. Mets pitchers, Mania, Peterson. I think those are for sure options. Again, Brewers probably resting some guys, so it's not going to be their best lineup even. And they've both been pitching well. For the Yankees, Rodon and Heel, I think I'd play both of them. Again, Yankees are set, so they don't have to worry about pitching guys. Pirates. Well, I mean, the Pirates have been one of the teams to target for pitchers, but they've been playing some of the younger guys, and some of them have been doing well. I mean, there's O'Neal Cruz has been doing fine, I think. Triolo and Peguero are playing and hitting right now. So I mean, they're not the terrible Pirates necessarily, but I think Brian Reynolds has been sucking. But but I mean, usually they're very strikeout heavy team. I guess getting rid of Rowdy kind of helps with that. Pirates did Rowdy dirty. Yeah, Jump Shoot. We talked about that a little bit ago. The Pirates. But yeah, no, I mean, I think someone, maybe DJ Local, was like, I mean, it's just such a bad look for the organization. And, it's going to turn players out. Like, players aren't going there. I think they already have that reputation. They're terrible. I mean, all right.
And honestly, I don't think anyone is worried about the Pirates organization after what happened in Oakland. So like they could do anything, like anything they want at this point. It wouldn't be as bad.
Nice. All right. So moving on to the A's. JP Sears. What's up?
I need to run for work. Sorry, guys.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Bob. Thanks for doing it. Appreciate it. All right. So I'm going to try and wrap this up in the next 10 or 20 minutes so I can check my lineups. I know I've submitted all my priority lineups at least. I haven't done training, and I submitted through the FP app, so I haven't gone back and boosted players or whatnot. So I need to do that still. But to run through the rest of these quick, JP Sears is probably playable against Seattle. Like Bob said, A's bats. I think I'd be comfortable playing A's bats. Seattle's, I guess we don't know exactly who they're going to be pitching, but for the most part, it's going to be all righty. So, lefties like Lawrence Butler are an option for you as well. I think Rooker hits righties fine, although if that's in Seattle, I mean, Seattle does. Let's check and see. Rooker, how he is done at Safeco or whatever that place is called. Ballparks. T-Mobile. Is that? Yeah, so he has not hit well at T-Mobile. In that one, it's as much of like the design of the stadium, as much as that, it's also, I think the theory is the batter's eye. So like the area, when you're the batter looking at the pitcher, typically you'll see it'll be just a black, kind of concrete wall or something, just so that you can kind of read the ball better. I think Seattle's is a little bit angled, and I think and a little bit offset. So I think the theory is like that. For whatever reason, when you're sitting in the right-handed hitter's batter's box, it just looks different and it messes people up. But yeah, he's got a 632 OPS, at least for his career. Obviously, he's gotten better in past years, so we'll see. Now, Jumpsuit, I see your comment. I'll get to that in a sec, but let's see what Rooker's done this year at T-Mobile. Oh, so well, he's done well this year. I mean, that's 3 games, so it's not a huge sample size, but I feel a lot more comfortable playing him considering. And Jumpsuit saying, yeah, Houston's batter eye is weird too. They painted more seats green last season. The disappointing thing for me was Target Field, when they opened it, they had like pine trees out there. And so like it was the batter's eye that's still there, which is just a wall, but they put trees in front of it, which I thought was really cool. But people said it was messing with them. So they got rid of those trees, which is a bummer. But yeah, to get back to Jumpsuit, using the Boost Weekly, seems like I never get the correct cards. I gave up. So I typically I've ended up with around 15,000 coins or something like that. And so my kind of broad strategy is just, I'm going to use them in the playoffs. And during the regular season, I do limiteds. If I'm competitive in a rare chase or something like that, I'll do the rares for that too. But I'm not automatically doing it for rares. It's just kind of as needed or something like that. But I think it tends to be a differentiator. So I mean, for me, for this weekend especially, I mean, this is an easy one where it's like, well, if you need to kind of if it's going to be a lot of people playing Matt Olson and Pete Alonso, the XP bonus is going to matter a lot. So, and DJ Local saying this, right? I mean, it's not necessarily the right guy so much as it is, if you're getting more points from a guy that someone else is playing, or if, you're getting more, if you're separating more because you played Harris instead of Ozuna or something like that. And Ozuna was the kind of chalk pick. Stuff like that. So, I mean, I haven't thought this through entirely, so I'm not sure. I mean, if it's to some degree, I think the most, if the guy that scores the most points are getting the most points from it, that, just kind of as a, I don't know if marginally it matters, kind of different than, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I would, for me, I'd be looking at Ohtani and then, Olson, Alonso, if you're doing, double reliever, that might be one where you put it on them. But yeah, I think, that might be something to look at. Yeah, if you have the most on, say, Olson or towards the top. But yeah, so I mean, if you're thinking it's going to come down, Olson's going to be, the top play, and, you're competing, it might help you catch up, if you don't have the highest collection score or something like that, it might help you separate a little bit. So there is that. But yeah, but I mean, just generally speaking, I just do all my rares because I'm bringing in enough coins every week where all my limiteds. I can do all my limiteds. And, it's basically a wash, playing, every limited, every rare competition. And then, I mean, at this point, I usually do 2, maybe 3 super rare lineups. Part of me doesn't want to do it just because I don't have a deep super rare, roster anymore. And so, a third lineup just isn't competitive. If there's a shot that I might be able to get the credit, I'll do that. Oh, DJ Local says rewards are out. So I'm going to finish up. If you want to go check your rewards, please do that. I'm just going to run through quickly the rest of the matchups that I'm seeing. Someone had asked about Wheeler versus, I don't know if it was Freed or someone else, but Wheeler I'd be comfortable going with. Again, I don't think they're going to push him. I don't think it's a situation where if he's got a no hitter through 6, but he's at 80 pitches, I don't think they're going to let him go 9. But again, pitchers are crazy. So, I mean, maybe he would be like, no, you're not taking me out. I don't know. But I mean, against Washington, not really playing for anything. I think Wheeler's a good play. Washington bats. So I know, Luis Garcia is going to be an option. Ruiz, possibly as well. Lefties going against their righties, but they're good righties. So, I mean, those are possibilities. But again, I mean, for National League, I mean, I think it's going to be tough to compete without the 5-game guys or the guys in Coors. Pirates, Skeens, I won a rare Skeens this year. So, he's someone that I've been putting in either, champion or chase lineups. I think he's a good play. Jared Jones, I think, is a good play. And again, Yankees are one of those teams that they're set. So they're, probably going to play guys 2 out of 3 games. They're not going to push, maybe, again, maybe Judge wants to play 3, see how many, home runs he can get up to, things like that. But, San Francisco and St. Louis, all righties for St. Louis, none particularly good. I can't believe Andre Palante is 10.5, but I guess, he's a guy with a reliever card, so he might be a play for you at reliever if you want. But maybe Lamonte Wade is a play against those guys. San Diego, this is another tough one. San Diego, I don't think they can move much, if at all. Maybe if they get swept and D-backs or the Mets Braves, whoever comes out of that, if they win out, it might be something where they are at risk of falling out or moving up. But I think they're 3 up, so I think there's a good chance King doesn't pitch. And they're a team that does have a first round series. So I think the preference for them is probably, they've got some really good pitching now. So Musgrove, Cease, King, and Darvish are all, pitchers I think they'd be comfortable with. Darvish is coming back. Musgrove's coming back. Both of them were out for a while. Darvish with, I think his brother was ill, and so he was out for personal reasons. But, Musgrove with the injury, but I think they both looked decent enough where, I'm comfortable starting them if need be, whether, this week or in the wild card round. And then Blake Snell, I know DJ Local said a ways up back, he just picked up a Blake Snell rare for $20. That's insane. Snell's a history of starting slow, and his prices, early in the season. So he's one that I just don't recommend speculating on, but a $20 rare, that's the price I would hope he comes down to either during the off season or in the spring, if he starts off with a few bad starts. So, if there's more $20 Blake Snells, or if there's limiteds, a guy like that who easily can be a top 10 pitcher, consistently, game week to game week that he plays. If you can get him under $5, I think that's a great card to pick up right now. Seattle, it sounds like their rotation isn't set. So they may do anything at this point. So I wouldn't be super comfortable pitching those guys. Taj Bradley. So, a righty at Fenway. Devers is out, but they've still got, Jaron Duran, who's been slumping, but still, Wilyer Abreu, Tristan Casas, so they've got lefties that can put the ball out for sure. So, that one's a little bit risky, but, not the worst plays. So yeah, that's what I would be looking at as far as Boston bats as well. DeGrom, I'm putting in priority lineups. Wouldn't be doing much with their bats. I don't think there's any reason for them to go more than 2 games for any of their guys that you'd be thinking about. And then again, Toronto, I'd play that. I'm comfortable playing Vlad. He may sit though, so I think that's a risk. And then for Philly, you got 2 righties and a lefty. Philly's a lefty heavy lineup, and they do, kind of switch things around their platooning. I think Bryson Stott's probably not a play. He's almost certainly sitting 1 game, maybe 2. But again, I feel like a broken record, but the Phillies both kind of are set and don't have to play this week. So there's less risk of them sitting players to kind of have them ready for the wild card round. And they're still playing for the Bob's back. They're still playing for the, I don't know how long you were sitting there, Bob. Sorry if it was for a while, but Phillies are, still playing for the 1 seed. So, I mean, I think they're going to try and win those games, but I also don't think they're going to push players, that Bob. All
Hey,
right. Yeah. All right. So yeah, that was the last of running through everything. I don't know, Bob, if you have other thoughts, other things you want to add, any questions, now's the time. I'm going to do a quick check and see if there's been any news that's come out in the past half hour or so.
I have not seen any news. All I know is that I'm starting Mackenzie Gore this week, and I don't know why,
Ooh,
but he's just one of those guys that has really intrigued me the entire year, and I keep winning his card, so I feel kind of obligated to play him. But you know what? He has some peak games, and who knows? Maybe Philadelphia just doesn't show up because they have nothing to play for. Like, and that's kind of like the thought process here. And these are the type of weird games where you get like middle end kind of starters, then I'm throwing no hitters and stuff like that, like out of nowhere on
yeah,
these
that's true.
pieces. And so I usually want to go with it when I make a play like this. I'm going with the talent that we have seen, that we can kind of trust. And so I'm actually excited to watch that one, believe it or not, to see what
Nice.
happens. So yeah,
Okay.
that's it though. Sorry to have to hop away real quick. I actually do have a
No.
job, like I said before, and so I just had to touch in real quick. So yeah, rewards are out though, so I'm excited about that. That's
Yeah.
got some cash that I can blow before the game starts. So who am I buying, guys? Like that's the main question, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to stay on for a little bit, or should we wrap this up?
Hey, I'm good to do whatever you want to do. I love talking baseball. We didn't
Yeah.
talk at all about the Oakland Coliseum closing last night. So
Nice.
that's man, it was important to me, man. And this is what So Rare does. Like I grew up, I remember watching Mark McGuire and Jose Canseco hit home runs and be the Bash Brothers, and watching Ricky Henderson steal bases. So for all of you there, like that's how old I am. But like loving the A's as a kid. My first game I ever went to was at Yankee Stadium, old Yankee Stadium, watching the Yankees play against the A's, and it was fantastic. And so watching the Coliseum close last night it really hit a different chord, and I didn't understand why, but it was kind of sad. Like it was actually really sad when it came right down to it. And I love the fact that, I don't know how it happened or why it happened, probably because I follow so many Oakland A's accounts and comment on everything. But Jose Canseco ended up following me on Twitter like a while ago. And I put an idea out there that the A's should have signed Ricky and Jose Canseco and McGuire and Dave Stewart on 1-day contracts just to close out the Coliseum. And then 3 minutes later, Jose took that idea, ran with it, posted it, and I was really proud of myself. And I showed my wife, and like that was my big pat on the back. So
That's awesome. Yeah. No,
yeah,
that was really cool. That's pretty funny.
that made me happy. And it's just I don't know, like I actually filmed like the whole last inning because my boy Mason Miller, who like me is a type 1 diabetic, closed out the game through the last pitch in the Coliseum. It was absolutely perfect, like how everything ended,
Yeah.
and just watching everything close up. And like even if you're not an A's fan, like you understand how baseball can really pull at your heartstrings. And it meant a lot to me to watch it, and I just wanted to share it with everybody here. That like, yes, I'm obviously an A's homer, and I talk about the A's more than I talk about the Yankees and the Brewers and all those other teams. But I don't know, it just hit differently. Just the
Yeah.
fact that something like this ended, and so
Yeah.
more power to the A's. It's the last time we'll ever see the Oakland Kelly Green jerseys, but to bigger and better things.
Yeah. So for next year, they're playing in Sacramento with
Yeah.
the AAA team. Is that right?
Yep, for the next
Yeah.
3 years, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you know what that stadium looks like? I mean, is like park factor wise, I mean, I'm assuming that's a PCL, stadium, which is, I mean, that's huge offense, just kind of across the board, in that league.
Nah, I
So,
have no idea what it looks like. And I mean, it's not good enough is the one. It's just not good enough
yeah.
for what was done. And, and I really appreciated, a lot of the tweets and everything that went out from Jeff Passan. And like he was really passionate about how Major League Baseball and the owners failed the Oakland A's. And, it's not acceptable when it comes to this kind of stuff. And you know what? I mean, who knows? Maybe the A's will, break all of the records for hitting home runs next year because they're playing in a little candle box. But we'll see what happens. We'll see how it plays out. And all I know is that I'm gonna get out there to Vegas for as many games as I possibly can because Vegas is a lot easier to get to for me.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but
That's pretty cool.
no, and I wish I bought that A's hat, but
Yeah,
no, I couldn't do it. I like the team too much. I mean, and I was saying to my wife, like I wear these Oakland A's shirts all the time, and she's like, "You probably wear them like 4 or 5 times a week." I'm like, "Yep, that's actually true. I have like 3 of the same Mason Miller T-shirt
nice.
because I have fat thumbs, and I just kept clicking the buy button. So what are you gonna do?"
Nice.
But
I
yeah,
love
that's all I wanted to say. It's baseball is great. It really is the best. Seriously,
baseball is the best.
it absolutely is. So
Yeah.
yep.
So, let's see a couple other things. Looking ahead, we talked about the double reliever for this for the playoffs for So Rare. We're going to be looking at wild card round as 1 game week, and I think both the divisional series and the league championship are split in 2, right?
That's usually they do their best to split it up so you have an even number of games so that you won't have like crazy scores. We have 7 games in one
Right.
game week. So I haven't looked at the actual dates, but that's what they did last year, and that's what makes the most
Yeah.
sense. So
I'm
like
pretty
the
sure. I know for sure. I
playoffs.
think that the first round of full series, so the divisional series. I'm almost certain that those are broke up. So like the first 3 games and then whatever's left of them. But it'll be interesting to see, kind of what the best options are. And part it's going to be depend on the teams. But I think I touched on this, a couple weeks ago when the Twins were still a possibility in the playoffs. But something like Mason Miller, his starting pitcher cards, if the A's were in the playoffs, which is crazy to say, but I could see that happening next year. If everything comes together right, they sold off everything, 2 years ago. They got rid of Ursig this year, like things like that, but like nothing huge, not like getting rid of like Olson and Chapman and
Yeah, well,
and
but
Murphy, but regardless, someone like Mason Miller, a quality reliever who's going to be in leverage spots. I mean, it's a 3-game game week in the playoffs. I'm not sure about, but I mean, I would expect that someone like that. I mean, I would expect like if the Twins were to make it, Griffin Jacks to pitch in 2 games if it's
yeah,
if it's a best of 7 or something like that. So, I mean, I think that would be a viable play. So it's kind of interesting that guys like that. Like I really do like Louis Varland, but he came out with a starting pitcher card. They played him as a reliever at the end of the season last year, and he did really, really well. And I think he plays a lot better as a reliever. But then it's like, well, I'm just going to sell these cards because if he's going to have a reliever card, I would rather have that one than the starting pitcher card.
mhm,
But it's interesting to see that. Ooh, Jump Shoot's got all the details for us.
sure
All right,
does.
so game week 2 is going to be October 5th through 7th. Game week 3, it's error there on the 2. This is game week 3 is going to be the 8th through the 10th. And then the league championship series are going to be split up into 11th through the 15th, and then the 16th through the 20th, and then the World Series is a single game week. So yeah, so for the World Series, especially as we're going to be running into the same issues there, where it's who's going to be pitching, and someone going to pitch on short rest. If you can get a pitcher that you think a quality pitcher that you think is going to go twice, that's a decent play. But also, don't forget that even the best pitchers sometimes get blown up. Everything else being equal, they're going to be obviously playing one of the best teams in the league because they're in the World Series, a team that's hot, a team that's hitting, if they've made it that far. And so, 2 starts out of, Fromber or Chris Sale or, who would be looking at in the Dodgers, Yamamoto or
Honestly, it's
God, their
anybody.
rotation's a mess.
It's
But like any of those
honestly it's
guys.
anybody. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
anybody. Like you
Yeah.
just like so when it comes to that, and we'll talk about it when we get to the World Series.
Oh,
Like
yeah. So
the
go ahead.
reason that I've won World Series competitions is because I started both of the starters. Like I started the game 1 starter of the team that you think is going to win. Because if it goes 7 games, that person will pitch a minimum of twice and probably 3 times. Like, and
Yeah.
that's just kind of like the stuff that you have to do. And so what this means for the playoff chase is that you need a full team for the World Series, because that is going to be, as the odds of it going more than 4 games is pretty good, because you got the two of the best teams. And so you need as many of those bats, you need those high scores if you want to be competitive in that chase. And I just want to go back real quick, Kev, when you're talking about relievers and stuff like that.
Yeah,
That's essentially what the Royals did, almost a decade ago. They got to the 6th inning and the relievers shut everybody down.
right.
It is a feasible way, and it's a great way to play. And like you were mentioning, the Oakland A's, and the reason the Oakland A's didn't sell off their stud Mason Miller is because Mason got pissed off one day and broke his non-throwing hand. It's
That's
the
right.
only reason he wasn't on the trade market this year. But look at those guys with the bullpen guys, the guys with the strong hold probabilities. I mean, this is why I think if the Dodgers can get through the six innings, like they have so many guys that are solid middle relievers and just hold type of guys, that they could be a tough team. Like, and that's just kind of how these things work out. So,
Yeah. But yeah, so looking at the Dodgers, we've talked about this before, but the Dodgers, there's always going to be fear that they're going to flame out. They, best regular season record, but especially considering their rotations in shambles. But if they do make it, they've got one of those bullpens where they've got 4 or 5 guys that are pretty good. And so Michael Kopech is someone who, I'll probably check after this, but that's going to be a start. If they make it the World Series, Kopech starting pitcher card is probably a decent play. Like he easily gets 3 games in, I would say. If it goes 5 or 6 games, I would be surprised if he doesn't pitch 3. And so that's, if you're assuming maybe 15 points an appearance, that's 45. That's not bad. I think I'd feel better about that than, again, I feel terrible, but who's pitching for them? It's Yamamoto. It's
wait, is it going to be Gonsolin?
oh God, Landon Knack maybe. They can't feel great about that.
No. I mean, maybe we'll get the occasional bruised out Gratterall start for like an inning or 2.
Yeah, I mean, Gonsolin's pitching Friday.
Pitching Friday. He's pitching today. So
yeah. Oh man. All right.
Yeah.
So should I play? So I'm looking at my champion lineup. I don't think I have an in-season Teoscar.
Sell you mine.
Yeah. Jack Flaherty. Thank you, Jump Shoot. I knew there was someone.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, Flaherty's decent. But so I had Alonso, and so I had Teoscar as my classic, and then Alonso and Harris in-season cards. But if I want to play Olsen, I don't. Maybe I still have an in-season I haven't used. We should check that first. Good times.
Yeah, this is what we do.
In case you guys are wondering what my lineup is going to be, these are them. You're welcome, everyone. I spend a lot less time actually making lineups now that I'm spending more time trying to make content, which thank you all for coming and enjoying this. I think it's wild. And I apologize. I think I saw that maybe Hunter was doing a stream at the same time too. So I'm sorry if we doubled up on that. That's my bad. I've been trying not to overlap and step on toes and all of that. So if you were here the whole time, go watch Hunters after this. Looks like we've probably got about 20 or 30 minutes left before lock. Is that right?
That's what it looks like. 41 minutes exactly.
All right.
Yep.
So I'm going to try and do these. What else did I want to ask about? Boxes. So do you know, or does anyone in the chat know, there's still boxes for rewards in the playoffs, right? I'm trying to figure out how many boxes I should keep and not open, because I do want to open my boxes as many as I can, but I want to save enough. And if I were to happen to get 3 cards out of boxes, I don't want to run out of credits to open in the off season and all of that. So I'm not certain how many boxes I need and how many I might get going forward.
So,
Uh,
Kev, how many boxes do you have right now?
I think 8 plus. I for sure have one coupon, so that one's set. I can do that, and I think
Yep.
looking at it, it was, if we're assuming October, November, December, January, February, March. So 6, I think a minimum I'd want 6 to make sure I'm getting to winning the next one.
Yep.
So I've got 1, so that means I need 5 to be able to open. Like I said, I think I had 8 right now or something like that.
Yeah. See, I'm sitting at 5. So like I need to like my goal this week is to do well in champion, do well in the chase, and then do well enough in every other competition to just get a box. Like that is I don't want to win. Nope, don't want to win. Just want to get a box.
Nice. All right. So I can go Lindor here, I think. And I'll be good with a or DJ Local says double reliever. And actually I like that. I might go
Whew.
should I go Lindor or Betts? I feel like Betts hasn't been hitting that well. So, I mean, I think
He didn't
I
have a
probably,
great week. He didn't have a great week last week.
yeah. I feel more comfortable with Lindor than Betts, I think. And then, so I mean, this one, should I do Betts? Should I do? So I've got Iglesias in there. So Diaz. That does kind of sound fun. Although, do I only have 1 in season? Diaz, and he's in the chase right now, of course. Mm-hmm. Oh, good times.
Life decisions, Kev.
Yeah, man. It's an embarrassment of riches, to be honest. Yeah, off-season content. So I kind of want to put together, I kind of want to keep doing Monday and Friday streams and use it to kind of create stuff that we can make shorter clips of, both for new people. So kind of doing some basic stuff, and then kind of also the dorkier in-season stuff. Oh, the other thing I was going to say is I think we can do like a watch party. So, it's something that I kind of been pushing so ready to do, was like, set up something, whether it's the All-Star game or for the playoffs, that like, we're all in a chat, like a live chat, watching the games together. So I think I'm going to try and test that out on Monday. So for the double headers, if possible, and maybe just will be in Discord. This has obviously been an experimental period for me. This is my first time streaming and all this. So yeah, so if you watch the last stream on Monday, where I was like, there's an echo, what is happening? I'm so confused. I thought you guys were hearing it, but it's because I'd opened YouTube to get the link for the YouTube stream to share. And so that was in the background. And so that was playing. It was a good time. But yeah, it was a good 10 minutes of me fumbling around like an idiot. So again, I appreciate everyone putting up with us as we figure out how to do this. But I think we can do a live stream. Kind of watch party. I think if we do it in Discord, we can probably have the game streaming and have everyone in there with a chat. I think it'll be fun. So there might be a Discord only thing to start with. I might be able to open that up to everyone, even if you're not a Discord member, once we work the kinks out. But yeah, no, I think that would be fun. That'd be fun, right? Like just kind of hang out in the chat if you can pop in if you can. Yeah,
I'd love it. And on that, Kev, like, we talk about like what's going to happen in the off season. Like we are doing like this competition for the Mike Trout bobblehead, right?
Yes.
And so like I want to do more things like this over the course of the summer as well. We do have NBA opening up, in simple competitions, like daily, weekly competitions with NBA and kind of stuff that are easy enough for us to do and just talk about. It's easy to, rip an essence and get a card and then like give it out as a reward kind of thing. And so we want to make sure that you guys have what you need. We can continue to talk about baseball. We'll talk about the off-season moves. We'll talk about the winter meetings, all of those kind of things, so that we can help prep. And I know that Kev's already started his big research project for his big drafts next year. And so like those are the kind of things that we can get into. We can start identifying some of the rookies and other people that we're going to look to potentially break out and really go nuts and really come into who they are as players. And so I'm excited about what's ahead. Kevin and I will talk about it. We'll put some things together, and we'll figure out the simulcasts and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it's gonna be a fun summer, a nice
Yeah,
summer. I
and
mean,
yeah. So if you're already an FP member, I'll probably make a new channel in the Discord of like, what do you want to see this off season? What should we do? So put that in there. If not, just on Twitter, or in the comments for this if you're watching it, after it goes up, following the live stream. Let us know what you'd like to see. Like I said, I want to put more stuff together, mostly because we want to make it worthwhile to kind of do it during the off season. So usually some players kind of drop during the off season if they don't play NBA, and we're not going to be. I'm certainly not going to be doing NBA projections this winter. I think it's just too much. It's going to be. We need to Captain No Sweat would need to rewrite everything for the app just because everything has changed, and so he did that for MLB. So it'd be a little bit easier than the just Herculean effort he put in this summer to adjust to all the changes to the API. But yeah, I think there's people that are going to do NBA projections better than I could. And it's time consuming. Especially with the NBA, you got to do it. You got to look at it, when the lineups change, the hour before lock. And so, until this can be a full-time job for me, it's going to be difficult to commit that time. So there is that. But I especially with the new stuff they announced for NBA, I'm going to be playing limited NBA for sure. So we'll be talking about it. But I think the focus is going to be MLB content. I've talked about this before, but I'm going to try and put together an NFBC league so we can maybe do a draft for the FP folks, and kind of use that as a starting point to rank players. I think that'll be fun. And then, I think, there's all sorts of fun stuff we're going to do, but yeah, I'm going to talk with Captain No Sweat about, kind of what makes sense to do in the off season, what we, what it'll take to do that, how much time he has, and then, how I can contribute, because I'm not someone that, knows how to program, but I know enough to kind of get myself in trouble. So I've started figuring that out. And so, in the next month or so, I'll probably be able to start pulling data off of, from MLB and start kind of figuring that stuff out. I don't know if you guys have been around for a while. AJ, say soccer. I think he's been busy with work this past season, so he hasn't been around much. But that first year, I know he did an analysis of what advanced stats correlate most closely with SoRare points. Yep. Scraping is one option, but like the MLB has an API where you can pull the data off of it as well. So as opposed to scraping, just accessing it immediately. Although I applied for an API key, or like requested one and was rejected. I'm not sure why. And it might be just that Alex had already has one for the SoRare, Gmail account, or for the FP Gmail account. So that might be why. It's been fun over the course of this season, figuring out those accounts, like, oh, we already have a TikTok and whatever. So, but yeah, so, some stuff we'll see what we can do with scraping, and a lot of that stuff can be automated, and even if it's kind of doing a no code thing, but that just means kind of putting more money into it to pay for that stuff than, if I can figure out how to do it myself. And I think it's just fun. Like, I'd like to be able to figure out how to do that. So yeah, that's what we're looking at. But I was going to say, I feel a lot less rambly and out of sorts than I was on Monday. So thank you again, Bob, for coming on Monday, because I was just like all over the place, which makes sense now. We were sick. Like my son and I, my wife was out of town. And so I was like solo parenting, but I was like really out of it. But like I had chills, but no fever. And so I was like, I don't think I'm sick, but I took like a 3-hour nap last Friday after we streamed. And yeah, we were pretty out of it. My wife came back, and then we got her sick. And so now she's out of it. And she's like, oh my God, how did you survive this without me, with Max? Like, she's just felt terrible yesterday. And so, yeah, so it makes more sense now why I was so much of a mess. But I was like, what is wrong with me? Why can I not do anything? Good times. But again, yeah. And thanks for doing this, Bob. Is there anything more fun than talking baseball with Bob? It's such a great time.
Baseball, and I absolutely love this stuff. And I mean, you could tell that the reason that Kevin and I do this is because we love the game. And what we found is that our solar FP community is better than any community that I've been involved with in any other type of game. I mean, I've been doing fantasy NFL football for a very long time, and I talk to those people a lot less than I talk to Kev and people in Discord. So just want to thank all of you guys for joining and sticking with us. And we love seeing the wins. Keep posting those reward wins. I can't wait to get back into Discord and see how everybody did this week. And yeah, and one thing I want to know, should I be buying myself a bobblehead trophy for coming in first in the chase this week? So let me know in the Discord, guys. No. See, and I totally disagree. Totally disagree.
All right, well, so I think you should buy a bobblehead, but I don't think you should count it as a podium. When we eventually do the Manager Hall of Fame, I mean, that's at least an asterisk for
a win is a win. A win is a win.
That's true. I mean, do you count Sandlot? Do you count training?
Yeah, you should. I mean, especially when you're up against like YNWA's uniques. Yeah, it's absolutely a win, dude.
Nice. Fair enough.
I mean, anything that there is a competition where you're going up against other people and you come in first, it's a win. Like, no matter what you do, no matter what Robbie says about it, it's still a win.
Nice.
So, yeah.
And hopefully we can get Rob. I think Robbie's been busy too, but hopefully we can get Robbie more involved as well. But yeah, it's who am I playing? All right, let's go with Alvarez. Fill in for Lindor, or maybe I had a Lindor, just not an in-season one.
Look at that.
But yeah, so the other stuff was, so in the Discord we had done the Twins not making the playoffs is essentially my fault. Because I was like, we started looking at the playoff picture. I was like, predict the playoff slate, and whoever, gets it right or is closest, will win the Trout bobblehead. And then I started looking and I was like, well, I mean, everyone's like 90% above except for Braves Mets. So like, just pick Braves Mets. And of course the Twins, then shot themselves in the foot. So there is that. So we did that. I'm going to go through. So, if you're not an FP member, comment on the video, not the live stream, because I don't know if I can access the comments on here. But if you comment, once the live stream's done, go into YouTube, obviously like and subscribe, all of that if you can, but comment in there. If you think it's going to be the Braves or the Mets, and if you get that right, we're going to do drawings both for that bobblehead. But John got me a bunch of So Rare shirts and hats. We've got that. I'll probably get, maybe not for this one, but maybe for another giveaway. I kind of want to do some like fundraiser t-shirts. So like the baseball is the best shirts for Sarah Lings and ALS. Maybe get a couple of those, and maybe, if it's not going to be too expensive, maybe do some FP shirts, something like that we can give away as well. I think that'd be fun. So yeah, we'll figure that stuff out. I mean, if I'm going to learn to code, I can probably learn to like do screen printing, right? I can probably make my own shirts. Why not? It'll be the winter of Kevin learning new skills. So yeah. All right. So I see that we about 15, 20 minutes left. Any other comments, Bob, if you've got anything else? Otherwise,
we can wrap it up. I mean, just, best of luck to everybody as the final game week of the season wraps up here. It's been a long, fun journey, guys. And best of luck to everybody. I know we got a bunch of people in here in the top 10, and some people are really going for the win in this final chase, and yeah, just good luck, everyone. Have fun with it, and let's see what happens here.
Tons of names I recognize: Cribs, Link, Bob, DJ Local, Prince. Planning to have him come on this offseason. I'm going to try and bring some managers on as well. So if you were doing Tops NFTs. It's Prince Roger Nelson, Zuby, Old
Zuby?
Angle Rounders. That's the voice from Beyond's brother. So he's top 20 as well. I think I saw Dewey for the rare at least. I didn't even look at the other ones.
So you know Prince, Kev?
I mean, the same way I know you online. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, he's a great guy. Super big sports fan. I'm pretty sure. And again, there's times where I can kind of confuse people that I know online, kind of from the same circumstances, but I'm almost certain he has like just a ton of really cool memorabilia. Like I want to say like a full-size Lego Ken Griffey Jr. or something like that. So yeah, we'll get those folks on. I think Zuby said he would come on. I think that'll be fun to do. So yeah, we'll get some of the folks that we don't hear from a lot on to talk about So Rare and their experience. I think it's good. But like Bob was saying, the So Rare FP community specifically, obviously, I mean, love you guys. When I started playing this, I was just like, I don't know anyone in real life that was playing it. And when I talk to people about it, they're just like, what, you are doing what? It's just like searching for content. And, Alex, had started doing the FP stuff, which was great. And, kind of building that community. But I always say it's so rare to find an online community that is like nice people. It's, sadly far too rare to not have people yelling at each other about stupid things. And you see that in general sometimes on, on the official Discord, but even that, I mean, I think for the most part, it's such a great group of folks that are playing this, and like I always say, at the end of the day, So Rare, if this is going to survive, it's a collectible, and we can argue about that. It's a game and all that, but it's going to matter because people care about it, and whether that's simply because the prizes are, sufficient enough to make you want to play, or if it's just because it's fun, or if it's just, for whatever reason, or if it's something for nostalgia's sake, whatever, this is going to survive if people care about it, and it's a meaningful part of their lives and of their fandom. It's pretty cool that there is such a core group that love this game. And I think almost everyone that plays this game, even if they're coming over from soccer or whatever else, MLB is the most fun Sorare game, hands down. It's not that soccer and NBA aren't fun, particularly if, you're hardcore into those sports, but I don't know, you can put as much or as little time in it as you want. I mean, it's always going to be hard for me to do soccer, just not knowing who's playing, what rotations are like, if there's, a midweek coming up. And so starters, a normal starter isn't going to be going and all of that for soccer. And the same thing with NBA, who's getting rested when, and it's something where it's, I love following baseball. I love the season. And I mean, if you're dorky about stats and numbers and all of that stuff, baseball throws off such great stats to be able to do this stuff. It's so fun. So yeah, thank you to everyone that's, supported this. That's just been like a decent person. Really appreciate it.
And Kev, I know that you and I are baseball homers. We love this stuff, but that sentiment that Kevin just said about how great this game is, Andrew Laird, that is head of content at So Rare Data, said exactly the same thing on the last couple pods that he has done when he's even talking about soccer. So the game itself, he even said it, this is the best game that So Rare has. If we get it out to more people, the better it is. It is by far the best fantasy baseball game I've ever played and I ever will play. And just big shout out to everyone at the team, and shout out to Kev and everyone in the back that does all the work, Captain No Sweat over at So Rare FP, for making this not only a great community, but a great game. So Thank you, Kev. Thank you all of you guys for streaming with us and joining us and asking questions. And we look forward to seeing what everyone wins.
Yeah. Good luck. Good luck with the chase, everyone. Rare, we've got Link again, Kika, Zuby, all that. So good luck, everybody. And yeah, we'll see you. We'll talk to you on Monday.
Later, guys.
Later.